We had such a good process here in Fort Wayne, and we didn't bother anybody, and we didn't ask for help. We did it in-house.
Setting his beer down and putting his elbow up on the Union Hall bar, Rich Letourneau firm in stating Indiana workers never asked for Canadian jobs.
But when the company comes to me to increase volume, I'm not going to tell them no either, because it's job security for my people. And hell, if I can corner the market, I will.
Letourneau represents the 4,000 workers at the GM plant in Fort Wayne, about 7 hours from Oshawa. This is where GM is adding more jobs, building the Chevrolet Silverado. Right now, that work is happening 24/7 in Oshawa. But in January, 750 workers on the midnight shift will be laid off, along with more than 1,000 parts suppliers. GM hired 250 temporary workers in Fort Wayne earlier this year to keep up with increasing production. CBC News asked the auto giant how many more trucks it wants to build here. The company declined the comment.
I don't think GM wants to look as though, hey, we're taking product from other countries, which are still our company. Because, as you know, when Oshawa closed the first time, it got a little bitter in Canada.
The tariffs are driving a wedge between auto unions in Canada and the U.S. Jeff Gray heads Unifor Local 222 in Oshawa and says he understands the UAW's position.
If we had the opportunity in Canada to increase our volume or get different investments, of course we would be after that.
Gray says Canadian auto workers are vulnerable right now, which is bad for them and bad for Oshawa.
And good paying jobs like auto assembly here in Ontario, if we let these jobs leave, they're not going to come back. So we have to fight like we've always fought for these jobs.
The union wants to retain Oshawa's position as an automotive leader, confident a federal trade deal can be found with the U.S., one that could save the jobs that are still here.
This is a Meteor. This is a uniquely Canadian car.
GM has over 100 years of history in this city, documented at the Canadian Automotive Museum downtown. At its peak, the GM factory had 23,000 employees. Since the 80s, that's dwindled.
There's very much, even among people who live here, a perception still to this day that Oshawa is a car building town, when arguably the actual fact is Oshawa is now a hospital town and a university town.
City data backs that up. Manufacturing only represented 3% of Oshawa's workforce last year. Healthcare, retail, trade, and educational services are now the top 3 employers.
It's nowhere near the dominant industry it used to be, but that idea has a lot of resonance with people and a lot of kind of emotional inertia, even as the city is changing very dramatically.
Oshawa's mayor also wants to see the industry continue, even if some think the writing's on the wall.
Some may say, well, it's a different day, so maybe the day has passed of the auto industry in Oshawa, and I can't come to terms with that, and I don't believe it.
Back in Fort Wayne, GM is the 3rd largest employer, but surprisingly, there are few signs of the company's presence. No sports teams named after their vehicles, and public art embracing local cultures rather than internal combustion. Allen County, which Fort Wayne resides in, says that's intentional. It is trying to diversify its economy. But this county also voted for Trump in 2024 and liked his message of bringing back American manufacturing. Rich Beck is a county commissioner which oversees the GM plant. So far, he says the tariffs seem to be helping.
We've seen a significant increase in just phone calls and interest in moving plants in. So from that respect, the tariffs must be working, or at least getting somebody's attention.
But they're not working for everyone. GM is forecasting a $5 billion hit to its bottom line this year from auto tariffs. And Fort Wayne's plant is struggling under another Trump administration policy, immigration. Letourneau says there's a 22% absentee rate at the plant, and it's hard to find workers who want to work more than 5 shifts a week.
If we can't get people that have a desire to work in manufacturing, you can bring all the manufacturing jobs you want back in the U.S., but if there's nobody here to do the jobs, we got a problem.
This may be where Oshawa has the edge. Listen to the union tell it.
We're used to here in Oshawa, General Motors working 6 days a week, our suppliers working 6 or 7 days a week to keep up to them. And that's the life we know, and it would be devastating if we lost that way of life.
GM has already pushed the planned layoffs back once, and many will be hoping it does the same again. Christian Davino, CBC News, Oshawa.